Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about another quick tip for digital research. Now, keep in mind that your libraries, your archives, and your historical societies are the best way to find research for your NHD project. But if those aren't available to you, you want to be able to think strategically about how to do digital research online using search engines like Google. So we're going to discuss some smart search strategies. So let's head over to Google. I really prefer to use Google because Google already employs a lot of advanced search techniques that really make doing research online a lot easier. It's going to stem words, so if you're doing a project on Scottish history and you're searching the word Scot, it's going to pull everything from Scotland to Scottish to Scots, right? So it's going to stem that word and pull everything that kind of connects to it. And it does that automatically, which is fantastic. It's also going to specifically use wildcard searches. So if you type in the word woman, it's going to search woman, women in every shape of that automatically to pull different materials for you. But there are some really great search strategies that you can use to continue to help you find the best available sources for your NHD project. So the first one we're going to talk about is Google specific. And what it will allow you to do is specifically search one site or domain. And here's how we do that. So say you are doing your NHD project on the topic of women's suffrage. What you're going to do is type women's suffrage, and then you're going to type the word site, loc.gov, which is the Library of Congress website, and search. So what this has done is basically told Google that you only want it to pull materials from the Library of Congress. So you'll see we now get the Shall Not Be Denied exhibit. We are getting a primary source set on women's suffrage. We're going to see women's suffrage in the Progressive Era from the American Memory Project. We're even going to see Women of Protest, a photographs collection that the Library of Congress has compiled for people to view. So we can do this with any site. So say I were to change LOC to archives, which is the URL for the National Archives and Records Administration. It's now going to pull everything that the National Archives has related to women's suffrage. So you'll get their page specifically on suffrage. You'll get their exhibition, Rightfully Hers, on women's suffrage, and different materials that they've produced. You can do this with whatever site, whether it's a US-based site, or if you're more interested in world history, you can do this with the British Library and other databases like that. So the next search tip that we want to think about are using Boolean operators. And Boolean operators are really great. They are words like and, or, not, and not, and they help us find specific combinations of words together. So say I want to do my project on Alexander Graham Bell, but I want to specifically focus on Alexander Graham Bell's interactions with the deaf community. I'm going to use the word and I'm going to type in deaf community. So what this has done, it has now told Google that I want only sites that talk about Alexander Graham Bell and his experiences and interactions with the deaf community. So it will pull PBS, it will pull Gallaudet University, it will pull the disabilitymuseum.org. So Boolean operators are really great if you're looking for a specific combination of words. And is probably the most specific search term, right? While or, which looks for either combination of words, so it'll look for Alexander Graham Bell or the deaf community, is a less specific version. All right, so the last thing that we want to keep in mind is keywords. Keywords are really important to any online search. We tend to name things differently, and we don't always call things by the same name every time we do, right? An example of this is World War I. So if we search World War I, okay, it gives us different options, right? And you'll see the regular sites there, such as Wikipedia and history. But if we scroll down, we get encyclopedias, we'll get articles, we'll get different searches based on our engine. But we need to keep in mind that World War I was not always called World War I. It had another name, it was also referred to as the Great War. So we also need to keep in mind that we need to search Great War. Depending on who is doing the archiving in any place, they may choose to cite it as World War I, or they may have chosen to cite it as the Great War. So if we do, you will see repeats. So Wikipedia is going to pull it because it tells you that it was also called the Great War. Same with history and the encyclopedia. But you'll also want to look down. We now have this option to explore echoes of the Great War American experiences because it's pulling the LOC option. It's also going to pull the Imperial War Museum in the UK because it's pulling the Great War, which is more prevalently used over there. So these are different ways to search the same topic using strategic keywords. You can do this with a lot of topics. For instance, women's suffrage is technically woman suffrage. It's the singular. And yet we use those words interchangeably. So you have to search woman suffrage, women's suffrage, and different things will pop based on that. Another example is Civil War battles. The Union and the Confederate armies named the same battles different names. So you need to think about which name you're using and if any sources may be labeled under that other name. So keep in mind that keywords are really important when you're doing your searches. Hopefully these strategies help you find some really great primary and secondary sources to help you create your NHD project.